This is Smarter San Diego TV.
Our next guests are all about Santee. Please welcome real estate expert Daniel Buksa and his special guests, candidate for Santee City Councilman Dustin Trotter and Santee City Councilman running for mayor, Rob McNelis.
All right, welcome to the show, fellas.
Thank you.
Santee's in the house right here.
Again.
Wow, love this.
Santee proud.
That's right. Daniel, you wanted to bring Dustin and Rob back on the show today.
Absolutely.
Elections are coming up. Tell us about these guys. Why do you want to bring them on?
Well, for me, I'm born and raised, lived in Santee for 40 years. I'm very passionate about my community. I raised my own family there and have nephews and nieces that go through the schools. I own a business in Santee now, so my heart and passion is in Santee, and there's very few people that I trust that I know are going to head our community in the right direction, and Dustin and Rob are two people that I feel very passionate about, that they're going to lead us in the right direction. And I always say, if you have good leadership and good people around you, life is so much easier. And these are the people that I endorse and that I feel are the right fit for Santee.
Well, thank you. Awesome.
Thank you.
Very cool. Well, Rob, we know you're running for mayor.
Yes, sir.
That's a big deal, man.
Yeah, it is.
And Santee's been one of those communities that has exploded. Really looks like a model for growth, something that the city of San Diego should really take a look at. You guys have done a great job getting businesses there. Schools are doing amazing. What do you think are some of the big issues that you'd like to tell people about that you believe in for running for mayor?
One of the biggest things that I believe in running for mayor is just making sure that the city gets back to its conservative fiscal policies. We've led the county with being that conservative city that has reserves and takes care of all the pennies, because when you do that, the dollars stack up. But unfortunately, we've started to get away from that. I need to make sure that we get us back on track for that we're planning for the future, that we're putting money away for our capital improvement funds. You know, the city of Santee is a relatively young city, and therefore we didn't have to worry, or the people that were there before me didn't have to worry too much about infrastructure, because infrastructure is supposed to last 30, 40 years, 50 years. Well, we're at the point where a lot of that infrastructure is at its functional end, and we need to start looking at replacing and repairing a great deal of it. But if we're not putting money away to do that, it can get ugly on us real quick. So those are some of the things that I'm absolutely focused on, and just making sure we kind of begin with the end in mind. We're looking not just at today's situation, we're looking at 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road. What is this going to look like, and how are these impacts going to affect us?
It's an important thing to keep in mind, because when you do grow, especially quickly, like you have in Santee, the things that used to be small problems now become big problems. Dustin, so City Council.
Yes.
Tell us about what you're all about for City Council in Santee.
Well, just like Daniel said, I was born in the city of Santee. I've lived there the majority of my life. I went to school there, raised my kids there too. I got one that just graduated high school last year, and one that's still in elementary school in Santee. My wife, born and raised. We have deep roots in the community. We owned a couple of businesses there before. My dad owned a pizza place and a taco shop, and now I own my business there, my construction company. I've been volunteering in the city for a long time at different nonprofits, at our church. Currently sit on the Park and Recreation Committee for the city, and the vice chair, the Community Oriented Policing Committee, so kind of a background and bio there, but this is my next level community service. I care about what happens in our city, and I want to make sure that we do the things to make sure our city is prosperous in the future, not only with, financially, like Rob's talking about, but also make sure that people feel good about being in our city, that the quality of life is there for the mothers that are pushing their strollers through the parks, that are, we're dealing with the issues that we don't graffiti and drugs and homelessness and all these things that our community needs to make sure that we stay safe and make sure that the people, the residents that pay their taxes there, want to actually be there.
What do you think is some of the biggest things of those issues that people are really concerned about right now?
Well, by far, traffic is a big issue right now. We hear it all around town. A lot of the issues that we face, unfortunately, are because of the highway system that we have now. When I was a kid, there was two ways to go west out of Santee. It was out Mission Gorge over Finita. We didn't have a 52. It didn't come in until 95. When that came in, we can get to the beach easier at that point. Go to La Jolla. That was kind of our thing when we were kids, to go there. Since the 125s come in, since the connection to 67 to the 52, those have brought a lot more thoroughfare traffic through our city. It has relieved some of the traffic off Mission Gorge like it was supposed to, but the surrounding areas, the on-ramps or Ness Boulevard are, they're congested, people trying to get on and commute to work. So for me, I look at it, yes, we do need to improve those systems. We need to mitigate some of those issues, make people's commute easier. But I'm thinking forward, like Rob, how do we get businesses in our community? How do we attract biotech jobs or technology jobs or fine art jobs where people can actually stay in our city and work in our city and not have to commute outside of our city? That's the future where we want to look at, and not only the housing element and the businesses that we want to bring in, but let's take care of our community.
Live here, work here, play here.
Amen.
Yeah.
How well said was that? That's such a good idea. I don't really think about that, but commutes are a big problem. You look at some of the other areas in San Diego, like Carlsbad, for example, which really blew up, and they have lots of traffic problems too. And so I think that's just sort of the normal progression. Like, an area blows up, like Santee has just exploded. The next thing is traffic, and how do you deal with that? It is something that annoys people very much.
And that is it. It's every city that is a major city has its traffic issues during its peak traffic hours, for certain. Every single one. You just named Carlsbad, La Jolla, Poway, El Cajon, La Mesa. Every single one has its main thoroughfare that is very difficult to get in and out of during those peak traffic hours. The difference is that City of Santee never had that previously, and we're just now starting to face that. And so the citizens of Santee, would love to keep it the way it was, but because of all the freeways coming in and out of Santee, we are the shortcut. Traffic is like water. It's going to take the path of least resistance. So as soon as the freeways back up and bottleneck, people get off of them and start using the side roads, and they find every single way through every single neighborhood to get where they really want to go and try and cut out any part of the bottlenecking, any piece of traffic that they can get around. That's what they're going to do.
Dang Waze app.
Yeah.
Telling everybody
It really
how to get
is.
through
It's
my
funny.
neighborhood.
It's exactly what's going on. There's apps for everything, and it's funny that you say that. But I've actually heard people talk about it. Oh yeah, I found out that I can go do this, and they had no idea they can go cut through the golf course area. I mean, they're using all these different ways. Heck, I've lived there for 22 years. I didn't even know you can get through some of these streets. And
You're right.
man,
You pull up your phone, you get the app, it tells you, okay, if you take this road, it's 36 minutes. You take this road, it's 32 minutes. That 4 minutes makes a difference in somebody's life.
it really does.
That's the difference of being on time or late.
Yeah, exactly.
So when are the elections? How can people vote? Because obviously people don't have to vote, so we got to encourage them to get out there and vote. How does that all go down? What's happening? Where do they show up?
The election's on November 8th. It's a general election, same election as presidential and everything else, so It gives you the opportunity just to get out there and cast your vote. A presidential election brings out more people, but the reality is the local elections mean more to your personal life than the presidential election does. Who you vote for president, in the grand scheme of things, determines maybe how the country may go, but at the local level, this determines what you're going to be paying for your property taxes. It determines where the traffic that you're going to be dealing with. It determines whether you have growth or no growth. The local stuff is where it's really at. And so unfortunately, Dustin and I have been knocking doors for, almost a year now. Actually, over a year now.
Over a year.
And but you're starting to hear more and more as we get closer and closer to this election, people getting very discouraged with the presidential race and talking about not showing up and not talking about not voting for a president at all because they can't decide between the two. And we're trying to remind them that, okay, that's fine. You don't have to vote every single one, but at least vote your local stuff. That's where it comes home. That's what means the most to you in your life.
Your community.
As Rob said, the election is November 8th. That's obviously when you go to the polls as a voter, but you have absentee ballots that usually go out about 23 days prior to the election. If you do your mail by votes. Vote by mail. Rob said people, unfortunately, may or may not like one thing, but there's more propositions on this ballot than you've ever seen before. There's so many elected offices. But you have a choice as an individual to vote for as many or as little as you want to.
Yeah.
You can vote for one thing. If you want to vote for president and nothing else, that's your choice. If you want to vote for
just Trotter,
your new
city
mayor,
council,
that's your choice.
We'll take that.
That's the only vote
We need your help. Please vote.
These are the rights that are given to us. In our Constitution, it says, hey, let's get out there and make sure we protect what we believe in.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You got it. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.